The Tarketh Dominion had crushed civilizations older than human myths. Worlds with cities that stretched across continents had fallen silent beneath their war banners. To them, conquest was not war. It was routine, an inevitability as natural as the tide. When their armadas turned toward Earth, the Tarketh generals expected nothing different. Humanity was young, barely 2 centuries into the stars, with fragile fleets and untested soldiers. The Tarketh ultimatum was simple: kneel or be erased. For 3 long days, their envoys' demand echoed across Earth's channels. And then came humanity's answer, spoken by the United Earth Council, recorded for every star to hear: we refuse surrender. It was not a negotiation, not a plea, just a declaration, spoken as though the words themselves were already carved into the bones of history. The Tarketh laughed. In their council chambers, commanders with skin like molten metal struck the stone floors with their claws, the sound echoing like thunder. A primitive species had dared to mock them. "They are insects," one general hissed. "We will grind them beneath our boots until their homeworld is ash." But not all voices joined the laughter. Among the Tarketh scholars, unease stirred. They spoke of human wars, centuries of blood-soaked struggle where surrender was a word rarely chosen. They whispered of soldiers who fought in trenches until the soil itself turned red, of explorers who crossed oceans knowing death waited beyond the horizon, of a people who had endured plagues, famine, and fire yet continued to rise. These scholars warned, to demand submission from such a species is to invite rebellion eternal. On Earth, skies darkened beneath Tarketh warships that stretched from horizon to horizon. Yet humanity did not break. In cities, families carved shelters beneath rubble. In mountain bunkers, engineers worked without sleep, reforging mining drones into weapons of war. Factories that once built transports for colonies now poured out railguns and interceptors. Farmers lined up beside soldiers, rifles heavy in their hands, eyes blazing with the same resolve. They all knew the truth. Humanity did not stand a chance in the traditional sense. The Tarketh were too vast, too advanced. But victory was not the goal. Defiance was, and for humans, defiance had always been a weapon sharper than any blade. In orbit, Captain Adrian Vaynar stood at the command deck of the UNS Resolute. His ship was old, patched together from decades of desperate repairs. But it was his sword to wield. His crew, pilots barely out of academy, engineers whose hands trembled with exhaustion, watched him with a fear they tried to hide. Adrian's voice cut through the silence. "Listen well. We will not win today, perhaps not tomorrow. But every day we resist, every blow we strike, we show the galaxy that humans cannot be broken." His words carried through comms, spreading to every ship, every bunker, every hiding place on Earth. It was not strategy. It was fuel for the fire. Across Earth, civilians raised their heads, fear bent into steel. The first battle erupted above Luna Station. The Tarketh descended in a wall of fire, dreadnoughts firing lances of energy that tore orbital platforms into molten wreckage. Human fleets scattered like insects in the storm, yet they did not flee. They fought. Pilots rammed crippled fighters into Tarketh cruisers. Engineers held shields online with bloodied hands, refusing to abandon posts even as flames consumed them. One broadcast captured a dying pilot's last words: "Tell them we didn't bow." That message spread faster than the Tarketh lasers. The Dominion won Luna Station, but they realized too late what they had truly lost: the illusion of inevitability. Whispers carried across the stars. On subjugated worlds, slaves watched secret transmissions of humans standing against the unthinkable. Some wept, recalling the moment their own leaders had bent the knee. Others clenched fists, rage smoldering at what had been stolen from them. For the first time in centuries, the Tarketh looked vulnerable. A question spread like wildfire: if humans can resist, why not us? Enraged, the Tarketh unleashed their ultimate terror, the World Breaker, a fortress ship the size of a moon. Bristling with planet-cracking cannons, it drifted into orbit above Earth, blotting out the stars. The Tarketh expected despair. Instead, humanity stared upward, saw their executioner, and hardened their hearts. Broadcasts erupted across Earth, voices rising as one. If Earth burns, it burns unbowed. Children painted promises of resistance on bunker walls. Soldiers carved the words into armor. The World Breaker had not crushed their spirit. It had crystallized it. From the ruins of shattered cities, resistance blossomed. Guerrilla fighters ambushed Tarketh patrols with homemade explosives. Civilians carried messages through burning streets, slipping past alien patrols under fire. Elders taught children how to wield weapons, how to survive in shadows. Humanity blurred the line between soldier and civilian, until the Tarketh realized they were fighting not an army, but a species united. Every street, every mountain, every sea became a battlefield. The Dominion had brought war, but humanity had turned survival itself into resistance. From the ruins of shattered cities, resistance blossomed. Guerrilla fighters ambushed Tarketh patrols with homemade explosives. Civilians carried messages through burning streets, slipping past alien patrols under fire. Elders taught children how to wield weapons, how to survive in shadows. Humanity blurred the line between soldier and civilian, until the Tarketh realized they were fighting not an army, but a species united. Every street, every mountain, every sea became a battlefield. The Dominion had brought war, but humanity had turned survival itself into resistance. The Tarketh retaliated with fury. Half of Earth's cities burned. Oceans boiled beneath orbital bombardment. Smoke cloaked the skies until the sun itself vanished. Yet in every ruin, humans rose. Survivors raised banners of defiance atop rubble. Families sang in the dark, their voices carrying through broken streets. Despair should have claimed them. Instead, their refusal became legend in motion. The Tarketh had shattered Earth's body, but they had not touched its soul, and then the galaxy shifted. On worlds bound by chains, rebellion sparked. Slaves sabotaged Tarketh war engines. Colonies struck down overseers. Messages spread. Earth resists. We are not alone. The Dominion had sought to make Earth an example of obedience. Instead, they had created a beacon. Where once there was only silence, now the galaxy echoed with rebellion. Desperate to end the defiance, the Tarketh assembled a fleet larger than any in their history. Thousands of ships blotted out the heavens, descending on Earth with annihilation in their wake. Humanity met them with everything. Warships built from scrap, civilian transports armed with cannons, fighters piloted by teenagers who had never seen peace. Farmers carried rifles, doctors manned turrets. The galaxy watched in silence, holding its breath as the impossible unfolded. A species too broken to win, too stubborn to surrender. For days the battle raged. Tarketh dreadnoughts unleashed storms of fire. Yet humans matched every strike with sacrifice. A hospital ship crippled and aflame, rammed into a carrier to protect escaping civilians. Fighter squadrons dove headfirst into enemy barrages, tearing through cruisers and kamikaze arcs. Guerrilla teams on the ground turned ruined cities into traps, ambushing Tarketh legions at every corner. Billions perished, yet the words remained unshaken. We refuse surrender. At last, when the skies cleared and the fires dimmed, Earth was unrecognizable, scarred, bleeding, broken. But it still lived. Humanity still stood. The Tarketh, for all their power, withdrew, not because they had been defeated. They had destroyed fleets, cities, and billions of lives, but because they had realized victory here was impossible. How do you conquer a species that refuses to bow even at the edge of extinction? The day became legend. Across the stars, conquered peoples whispered the tale. Bards sang of the world that chose defiance over survival, the people who chose extinction over chains. The Tarketh Dominion, unchallenged for millennia, had been denied not by victory but by refusal, and so the galaxy remembered. The date was marked in countless tongues, carried as prayer, as war cry, as hope the day humanity refused to surrender.